What is up? Welcome to a show that we call Glitch TV. This is episode number 1, numero uno, the very beginning of a weekly show all about cord cutting. If you're watching the show, you're most likely a cord cutter, you're an early adopter, you are a trendsetter. And now you've been with us since the very beginning, and for that we thank you. So let's go ahead and do this. I am Patrick Dees, I am one of your hosts. I am joined by one of my favorite people on the internet and IRL, Miss Kate Elliott's with us. Kate, what are we doing? Why are we here? Why are we, what is Glitch TV?
So we are of the generation now where most of our television consumption comes off the internet and not television anymore. I even have friends that don't own a television, and most everyone I know isn't subscribed to cable. It's crazy. But there is so much content that we get to consume from the internet, so much TV, so many movies, that we're going to try and work our way through it on all kinds of platforms, from Netflix to Crackle, tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, and start a conversation with you about just that.
Because there's so much of all of it.
So
there's
this
dearth of content out there. There's plenty good, there's plenty bad, there's plenty ugly. And I think we're going to talk through a couple of series that actually had not been on my radar at all. I didn't know that it even existed. And what I'm incredibly excited about in this space is a space where all of these studios are normally really risk adverse. They create this content, these intellectual properties, they have to appeal to so many people. They can take these risks. So I think this is really the bleeding edge of interesting television. Or insane television, or otherwise. So I think there's something out there for everybody. And so we're going to be here every week, bringing that to you, discussing the things that we love, things that we don't love. We're going to be discussing it with you. And let's jump right in. Let's see what we're going to be kicking around this week.
Let's do it.
And we were very excited to talk this week specifically about Powers. In our very first episode, we're talking about the very first scripted drama to appear on the PlayStation Network. I think it's a show that's brimming with possibilities. So let's do this. Let's take a quick look at the trailer, and we'll come back, and Kate's going to read us a description.
In this world, not all of us can fly. Not all of us are strong enough to change our fate, or fast enough to outrace the past. Not all of us can be legends, but all of us have a choice. All of us can rise.
So that was our first look at Powers.
Yeah, and it's such a great show, but in case you missed it, Powers is set in a world where humans and superheroes coexist, and a homicide detective who has lost his own powers investigates crimes involving superhumans along with his partner. So this whole universe is where superheroes and normal people coexist, and then we have to deal with the repercussions of there aren't great people in the world everywhere, and some bad guys are going to have powers, and what do you do about that? You get law enforcement involved. So there's a whole separate division of people who go out with guns to try and take out these bad guys.
Like you do. You're so matter-of-fact about it. You're like, what do you do? You just bring law enforcement into it. So what did you go? So we watched this episode together.
Yes.
We did. And going into it, what did you know about it? What were your expectations? I don't know, talk me through, what was your exposure to Powers before we actually saw it?
I actually had zero exposure to Powers before I watched this, and after the first episode, I was totally hooked. The characters are very engaging, and I want to know what happens next, and that's a very important part of television, of course. But I really love that it's normal for some people to have powers and some people not to have powers. And of course, there's the sideline of people called wannabes, which is not very nice, of people that want to have powers but are just normal people.
What else would you call them? If you lived in this universe, what would you call them?
You call them? I know it's mean, but
so you're copping to not being very nice.
Yeah.
I'm here asking the hard-hitting questions. So you had no exposure into it, and we discussed this when we watched it. Look, it does that thing that any great television show does, or any good comic book does. The minute the credits rolled, we wanted more. Let's do this. Let's watch it. I was crazy skeptical going into it. I kind of heard the high level pitch of, it's this realistic look at superheroes. It's a little gritty for being gritty's sake, and I don't know what it was, but no part of me was that excited to check this out. I was
very excited.
You were? All right.
I really was.
And it lived up to your expectations?
Yeah,
or what?
It was wonderful. Yeah, and it's also based off of the Icon comic series Powers, so anyone that loves comic books has probably heard about this. And I can't say whether it's a good adaptation or not because I haven't read the comic books. That's something I'd like to hear from you guys, whether it's a good adaptation or not.
Well, so because I think when they were talking about it being this gritty, I don't know, postmodern look at the superhero genre. I wasn't like, okay, great. Like, I feel like that's been done a few times. But what was interesting to me was that it has that additional hook of being like a police procedural. So on top of being, all right, let's see how wannabes and normies and powers can coexist. Sorry, that's what I call people who aren't on the internet. Normies.
Yes, okay.
So people watching at home, this is the worst. So no, but like, so I wasn't. Again, like, I think at a high level, I was interested because of what it represented, right? Like, we're right now at the precipice of a whole sea change of the way we ingest media. And this is kind of that first of those shows. So I wanted to be part of that zeitgeist. I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to see it. But no part of it, like in their initial marketing, hooked me at all. And then I was incredibly pleasantly surprised when I saw it. And to your point, we watched it. It was a little special effects light, maybe a little bit, or what do you think? How were the representations of the superpowers, if you will, and how did that play for you?
I was alright with it. I mean, it's a television. It's not a major blockbuster where they have millions and millions of dollars for budget. They did well with what they have, and you can definitely get into it and not be too distracted by the fact that, you know, people are flying and you can see where the wires are. You can't really see the wires, but you know what I'm saying. It's still engaging enough and quality enough to where you don't get pulled out of the universe.
I think if they had been wires, that would definitely make our show. If there had been wires, like that would be something we would. That's an example of something we would be talking about on this show.
Yeah.
Really, this is a thing. No, I think the whole show to me was fascinating. So like I enjoyed. To circle back to the powers part, I think that was fine, right? The budget, and I don't know what the budget looks like the rest of the season, but budget for the one, it was serviceable. It wasn't distracting. Some of the teleportation stuff was kind of cool.
Oh, that was so great. That was one of my favorite parts about was the teleportation and the new aspects of teleportation I'd never thought of. So can I do a spoiler? Can I do a spoiler? Is that okay?
Yeah, totally.
So one of the things I always wondered about when I would watch teleportation is these people don't do it naked. They take their clothes with them, so they must have some control over what they can take with them and what they leave behind. But never once did I ever think about putting my hand around someone's neck and just leaving with their head. And I thought that was so
it was pretty
great.
Cool.
I loved
that.
I
agree.
I loved that.
I think our reaction was, whoa! Yeah, it was cool. I would agree. That's funny. That's like I never really thought about. I never spent any time thinking about what you can and can't do or the limitations of teleportation. Invisibility is always the thing. Like I always wonder about that.
That's a good thing about Fantastic Four is that she had to take her clothes off to be invisible. Okay. She couldn't take her clothes with her, but then with X-Men, Kitty could run through walls with clothes on. So there was this.
They're just breaking laws of physics, and they're just running. Yeah. Fair enough. We'll see. Actually, it'd be interesting to see if they stay consistent with that, right?
That's
like,
true.
I really like universes that are constructed and they have their Bible or their set of this is how things work in this universe, physics. Right? And they don't break that. So it'll be interesting to see how consistent they are. Mm-hmm. I thought what was really cool was this show feels deeply rooted in this celebrity culture, right? Like you touched on the wannabes from the very beginning. Like I think they did a really cool job of like if there were celebrities, you would be at your local Safeway or Gelson's or whatever, and you would see the celebrity rags and you would see the powers like on those. So it's half of that. It's like, hey, it takes open shots at celebrity culture and also this kind of this hubris of youth, right? I think like a lot of these wannabes are younger, right?
Yes,
there's these teenagers. I think all of us at one point when we were growing up think we're invincible or think we can take on the world. And I think what this show does is flip that paradigm on its head a little bit and says, hey, what if some of them could? And I'm
it's
really
like a whole other form of adolescence, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Because this is happening to the young people because you don't have powers when you're a baby. That would be chaos. They come in later. For example, our main character, he found it. He fell and he had to fly because he decided he didn't want to die. He didn't want to hit the ground. He ended up flying. That's how he discovered he had powers. But if you had powers when you were a 5-year-old, if you threw a tantrum, imagine the chaos that would ensue from that.
Would it have people be more selective of like who had children? I don't know. There's so many unfit parents. I feel at this point, like if there was some sort of pre-selection, I get behind this. I think we need more powers. Is my point. So like, things that you. So we talked a little bit about what we really dug. Is there anything that, like when you watched it where you're like, come on, like why are we even watching this?
Honestly, the one thing I found very strange was Eddie Izzard.
Yes.
Guy. I was so thrown by that because I've only ever known him from his comedy, but I thought he actually did a really good job of playing a complete maniac.
No, totally. I'm sure he's an incredible actor, but like for me, it was also a little jarring.
It was
like,
a
whoa,
little jarring.
Eddie is? Yeah, no, totally.
Just naked Izzy Izzard. All right, that's fine. That's fine. But I can't wait to see him come into his own because right now he's very subdued. He's in captivity. What's going to happen when he gets loose and he goes? I want to see what Eddie does with that. I'm excited to see that because it was confusing at first, but
I Okay, I would agree with that. That was jarring. For me, the one thing I think that really stood out was the cop show tropes. I didn't need
the young, snarky sidekick.
It was this is it was the grizzled veteran and then the sarcastic chipper like sidekick. Like, what are we doing? And we're touching lightly on spoilers, but it happens in the first 2 minutes. But it was very much that cop cliche. It was like, oh, you got a phone call. It's from your kids. Like, I'm wrapping up my days in the forest, and that guy eats shit immediately. They kill that guy so fast, and it was like. Really, I don't think the show, granted it's a procedural, but I didn't feel like it needed a lean on that. So I hope it goes more into, that parable we're talking about, celebrity culture, and really explore some of those themes and not sticking so close to grizzled veteran.
It was a little cliche and stereotypical at first, but I actually started falling into it towards the end. I was like, you did have a great partnership going. I can't wait to see where. So
maybe you be in Glitch TV. Maybe you be grizzled veteran, and I'll be sarcastic rookie cop.
I hate everything.
Perfect. Yeah. You nailed it. Well, so that was episode 1 of Powers. You're on board. We're going to continue to watch the balance of the episodes. But anything that you're hoping to see out of the rest of the season coming to episode 2, or
I want to see Retro Girl.
I want to see Retro Girl.
Everyone talks about Retro Girl.
All
we
I want to
see her for a split second at the end. There are T-shirts of her.
I know.
There's merchandise of her. I'm like, who is this person everyone loves?
I'm actually really concerned. I'm not concerned. I am concerned. But they can't live up to that because an impossible setup for Retro Girl.
She's got to be really amazing.
A lot riding on her shoulders for sure. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about the rest of the season. I came into this cautiously optimistic maybe, and it ended up being it delivered for sure. It's about all I could want out of our first episode, and hopefully it goes somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And there are some great characters on it. Like, we touched lightly on the teleportation guy, Noah Taylor as Johnny Royale. He's a great actor. We've seen him in a lot of different stuff. I've seen him in comedy and drama. He does a great version of this guy because he's not necessarily a bad guy, but he's definitely out for himself. He's one of those guys that's like, I'm going to do what's right for me. Sure. He's a mercenary for himself. Mm-hmm. I want to see where he goes. And...
grizzled veteran voice.
Right.
It was grizzled veteran coughing, working through some of the water that we just took in. Anything else that you wanted to add? Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I have a note here that I really like the camera work. The camera work on the show is really good. It was top notch.
What specifically about it?
So there are a lot of shows out there that go a little too far with the indie look of getting the shaky camera or having a solo shot with characters sitting mid-frame. But this one was really good, getting the thirds in, getting the foreground, background going. It was very engaging, and I never found a dull moment actually because camera work kept up with the scenes. I enjoy the production value of this show. I really do.
So at this point, we're in.
Yeah, we're in.
All right, fair enough.
Episode 2, let's go.
Let's do it. So as we're walking away from it, what is it that we want to? We want to talk to you. Ultimately, this show is predicated on a discussion, right? Like, we're here. We will never shut up. We will continue to talk about this forever. But we want to involve you, our viewers and listeners in the conversation. So what is it that you wanted to touch base with them about? Like, what do you want to chime in?
I want to ask you guys, if you were in this universe where humans and superheroes coexisted. First of all, what do you think you would be? I know what you probably want to be, but what do you think you would be? I think
meaning what power you'd have.
Would you be a power, or would you be a human, or would you be a wannabe? I think I'd be a wannabe.
I'm Captain Poser. Yeah, totally.
I would be to have powers,
mind control guy. And I would just really deeply focus. I'd give a really weird, creepy stare.
Oh, I like it. I would like to be able to slow down time so I could look really cool. And I don't.
How would you want to be that though?
I want to be that because I have zero coordination. But I'd love to be a great fighter. But if I could slow down time, I think I'd be able to handle myself.
You're like, on par with everybody else.
Time. Yes, that would be so much fun. So if you were in this universe, would you be a powers, a mortal, or a wannabe? And if you were a power, what do you think your power would be, and what would you do with it? Would you be a bad guy? Or a good guy, or a mercenary, just whatever you want. Let us know. We're curious.
Yeah, I think this show's right for that type of conversation.
Totally is. Yeah.
So let us know. We'll come back with episode 2 of Powers. And just like that, we are done with episode 1 of Glitch TV. And man, did that go by fast!
I don't want it to be.
No, I know. I was just starting to get attached. I felt like we were just. So I'm interested. How did this feel for you?
I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I can't wait to be given more homework with more shows to watch because I'm being exposed to some pretty cool content.
There's nothing better than getting an email about, hey, here's the 7 shows you need to watch every week.
Deal.
Fair enough. No, but that's why we're doing it, so you don't have to.
Then you want to.
And then you will, right? Yeah.
It's like hearing it from your best friend. We're telling you as your best friend, this is good, this is bad. You know, that's there's a piece of fluff there. You know, the way it is.
So join us, exactly. So join us for the shows that we're enjoying. Join us for the shows that we're not. Misery Loves Company. We'll all talk about it together.
And there are multiple ways you can get in contact with us. We have a Glitch In on Facebook and Twitter. Please follow and subscribe. It's very important to us. If you subscribe here, you're always going to get a notification when a new episode is posted, which is always a good idea as I hit that little button. And if you would like to go to the website, it is aglitchin.com. Very simple, very easy.
No, and I know it's incredibly cliche, but we want to hear from you. I think this.
We really do.
The show is like I think the cord cutting community is like our generation. I said it at the beginning. I said it at the top, right? Like we're bleeding edge in technology. We're trendsetters and whatnot. And I think there'd be a lot of. I'd be really interested to hear what you guys want to see. Mm-hmm. If there are other shows that we're missing, like what are you doing? This is the show that's out there, that's on Crackle, that's on one of these other shows that we don't know about. Please let us know. We want to talk about it. I think it's a dynamic show, and we're going to be based around a lot of that feedback. So
we're excited to hear from you. Genuinely, we want to know what you think.
And we're coming back every week.
Yeah, we will be.
So we'll talk to you next week.
We'll see you then.
Every week, and this week we've chosen something special. Hey guys, it's Patrick from the future and Kate from the future. Whoa! We're arriving literally from 1 week in the future, and past us is we're about to tell you to watch a movie that we don't want you to watch. So what is the movie we're actually going to watch?
We are going to watch...
We're watching it.
I love this movie!
Do you?
I love this movie!
Okay. So your enthusiasm is contagious. So the past me that you guys just saw had never seen Hancock. Future me, this me,